Imagine standing in a crowd, craning your neck to catch a glimpse of a world leader. There's excitement in the air, cheers, waving flags, a sense of history unfolding in real time. Then suddenly, a gunshot rings out. Screams pierce the air, chaos erupts. In a single instant, the world holds its breath. These are the moments when everything almost changed. Assassination attempts don't just threaten individuals, they threaten entire systems of power. And when they fail, they leave behind chilling questions of what might have been. From emperors to presidents, popes to revolutionaries, many of history's most powerful figures have stood face to face with death, and survived by inches. These are the near deaths that nearly rewrote history. It was November 8th, 1939. Munich. Adolf Hitler stood before a crowd at the Bürgerbräukeller Beer Hall, delivering his annual speech to commemorate the failed Beer Hall Putsch. Every year, same place, same speech. But this time, he left early. 13 minutes later, a bomb exploded beneath the podium. The man behind the plot was Georg Elser, a German carpenter who acted alone. Had he succeeded, the Nazi leadership, Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, Göring, would have been wiped out. World War II, the Holocaust, even the Cold War might never have happened. Fast forward to February 15th, 1933. Miami, Florida. President-elect Franklin D. Roosevelt was giving a speech from an open car. Hidden in the crowd, Giuseppe Zangara fired 5 times. He missed Roosevelt, but fatally struck Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak. Had FDR been hit, America would have lost the man who would lead it through both the Depression and World War II. Without the New Deal, the 20th century might have unraveled entirely differently. March 30th, 1981. President Ronald Reagan exited the Washington Hilton. Then, 6 gunshots. John Hinckley Jr., obsessed with actress Jodie Foster, opened fire. A bullet ricocheted and struck Reagan in the chest, missing his heart by inches. Vice President George H.W. Bush was out of town. Secretary of State Alexander Haig's infamous "I am in control here" remark caused widespread panic.
As of now, I am in control here.
Reagan survived, but had he not, the Cold War balance might have been instantly thrown off course. Now, rewind to June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand's motorcade drove through Sarajevo. A failed bombing attempt had already occurred that morning. Then, due to a wrong turn, Ferdinand's car stopped right in front of Gavrilo Princip, who pulled out a pistol and fired. Those 2 shots triggered World War I. Had that second chance never happened, the world's bloodiest century might have looked very different. On May 13, 1981, Pope John Paul II waved to a crowd in St. Peter's Square. 4 gunshots rang out. Mehmet Ali Aka fired at close range. The Pope collapsed, bleeding heavily. Yet he survived. His continued influence played a critical role in Poland's anti-Soviet resistance. Many historians believe his survival helped bring down the Iron Curtain. Had he died, the Vatican's role in Cold War politics may have ended abruptly. Now we go back even further, to November 5, 1605. Beneath the House of Lords, Guy Fawkes stood among barrels of gunpowder. His goal? Kill King James I and the entire government during Parliament's state opening. But a last-minute tip-off stopped him just hours before detonation. Had the plot succeeded, England might have plunged into religious civil war. The Protestant monarchy could have crumbled, and European power dynamics would have shifted dramatically. Another attempt to reshape history came in 1943. Nazi Germany launched Operation Long Jump, a plan to assassinate Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Joseph Stalin during the Tehran Conference. The plot was orchestrated by the SS, but Soviet intelligence uncovered it in time. Had it succeeded, the Allied effort in World War II might have collapsed overnight. Let's now move to 1950. The White House was under renovation, so President Harry Truman stayed at Blair House. That morning, 2 Puerto Rican nationalists launched a violent assault. A gunfight erupted. 1 officer and 1 attacker died. Truman, just upstairs, was unharmed. But had they reached him, Truman's death could have disrupted NATO's formation, the Korean War response, and post-war recovery. In 1966, British Prime Minister Harold Wilson was giving a speech in Brighton. A 17-year-old armed with a pistol planned to shoot him on stage, but lost his nerve. He was later arrested. The event was quietly buried, but this marked one of the first serious modern attempts on a British Prime Minister's life. Just over a decade later, in 1979, Conservative MP Airey Neave was killed by a car bomb placed by the Irish National Liberation Army. Neave, a close advisor to Margaret Thatcher, was expected to take a top cabinet role. His death altered British policy toward Northern Ireland and derailed a hardline political strategy before it ever began. Let's talk about Churchill again. In 1940, during the height of the Blitz, Adolf Hitler greenlit an assassination attempt against him. The plan involved poisoning his food or bombing his private train. None of it came to pass. But had it succeeded, Britain could have lost its greatest wartime leader, and morale might have collapsed at its darkest hour. The suffragette Emily Wilding Davison is remembered for dying at the Epsom Derby in 1913. But before that, she had hidden inside Parliament overnight and was caught with suspicious materials, possibly part of a plan to target politicians. Had she succeeded, it might have radicalized or derailed the suffrage movement entirely. In 1931, President Herbert Hoover was targeted in Uruguay. A group of anarchists planned to bomb his train, but police foiled the attempt. Had Hoover died abroad, the global image of America, already weakened by the Depression, could have shattered. Roosevelt's rise may never have happened the way it did. British Prime Minister Tony Blair narrowly avoided an assassination attempt in 2001. Dissident Irish Republicans planned a sniper attack during his Belfast visit. MI5 intercepted the plot. Had it gone ahead, the Good Friday Agreement might have collapsed, and peace in Northern Ireland may have ended. April 11, 2004. British MP Stephen Timms was stabbed twice during a constituency meeting by a woman radicalized over the Iraq War. Timms survived, but had he died, it might have reshaped British politics and further polarized the debate around foreign policy in the Middle East. June 25, 1980. Civil rights leader Vernon Jordan was shot in Indiana. He survived, but years later, a white supremacist confessed to the crime. If Jordan had died, it would have sent shockwaves through the civil rights movement, potentially reigniting tensions in a volatile post-MLK America. Let's look at two chillingly close calls from President Gerald Ford's term in 1975. In September, Lynette Squeaky Fromm pointed a pistol at him in Sacramento, but it misfired. 17 days later, Sarah Jane Moore tried again in San Francisco, only to be tackled by a bystander. Two near assassinations in the same month. Either one could have changed the trajectory of 1970s America. During a 2011 public meeting in Tucson, Arizona, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot in the head. 6 people died, 13 were injured. Giffords survived, but with life-changing injuries. The attack became a flashpoint in U.S. debates about political violence and gun reform. In 2008, 2 white supremacists in Tennessee were arrested for planning a mass shooting, followed by an assassination of presidential candidate Barack Obama. The plan was crude, but the intent was deadly serious. Had they succeeded, the United States might have plunged into a racial and political crisis unlike any in modern history. Charles de Gaulle, president of France, survived more than 30 assassination attempts. The most famous, Petit Clamart, saw bullets riddle his car. He and his wife miraculously survived. But had he died, France's fragile Fifth Republic could have collapsed during the Cold War. And finally, January 8, 2023, Brazil. Just 1 week after President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva took office, pro-Bolsonaro mobs stormed government buildings. Armed calls for Lula's removal or assassination echoed through the capital. Security forces barely regained control. It was a stark reminder that democracy, anywhere, is always one gunshot away from collapsing. Assassination attempts are more than failed crimes. They are fractures in time, moments where history wobbles on its axis. Sometimes all that stands between one reality and another is a delayed train, a shaky hand, or a misfired bullet. These near misses don't just haunt the past, they remind us how fragile our future can be. This is History 101, where the past isn't just remembered, it's reimagined.